What do you do if your flight gets canceled? It happened to me this week, so I thought I would share the experience and some of the options with you. Welcome everyone, Mark here at the Average Me channel. Before we get started, if you're not yet subscribed to this channel, please click my face down there in the corner to subscribe and ring that bell icon up above. That way you'll know when I post new videos. This week, I was heading out on a trip, and at the last minute my flight got canceled. That can be a scary experience, especially if you're not a seasoned traveler. So I thought I would go over some of the options and some of the strategies that we might use during those times when flights get canceled, especially at the last minute. So one of the first things I am going to suggest to you is sign up for the frequent flyer programs. Make sure that you have the apps downloaded on your phone. And when you are going through the process of buying your ticket, make sure you put in that contact information. Now, they give you the opportunity to do that when you are checking in as well. It will allow you to put in an email address and a phone number with most airlines. So, the first thing you want to be able to do is make sure that you get contacted as soon as possible. So please, even if you're not a frequent flyer, I would strongly recommend you do all of those things. Sign up for the frequent flyer program, get the app, make sure they have your contact information. Now here's why. This week, and it's happened to me before, this is frequently how it goes. As soon as the flight is canceled, I get notification on my phone across the app. I always allow push notifications with the airline I'm flying on. If you think you're not going to remember to do that, just allow the push notifications when you download the app onto your phone. This gives us an advantage. This week, for example, when the notification came through, I knew about it about a minute or two before they announced it in the terminal. So here's what happened. We were all sitting waiting for the flight. We were only like 10 minutes from boarding, and all of a sudden something popped up. It said, your flight's been canceled. I thought, oh my goodness. So I walked up to the counter, at the gate. Just as I was approaching the gate agent, she picked up the phone and she announced the flight was canceled and it changed on the sign. So she was probably notified roughly the same time I was, but they had to process it and they do their talking with their colleagues and they're changing the sign. I'm assuming that's the stuff that's going on. And as soon as she announced that, I was on a 737, 143 people need to know what to do now. So you're going to get a lot of people lining up, and you don't want to be, the 30th, 40th, 50th person in line. So it could take a very long time. So get that push notification. The second thing, as I've already alluded to, get in line right away. You want to know what your options are. Now, I have often had a variety of things happen. Sometimes the airline will automatically reassign you to another flight. You don't even have to do anything. So if I see on the app that I've been reassigned, I can just look, I can see what that flight is I'm reassigned. If it fits my schedule, I'm fine. I'm going to get out of line, I'm going to go to the next gate, and I'm just going to follow up and make sure, that I still see that flight, it's still on the flight board and all of that. But under the best circumstances and the best conditions, you may get automatically rebooked, and that is a great situation. If not, what you want to do is wait in line, but don't wait passively. If I'm the first, second, third person in line, I'm probably not going to start being distracted by getting on my phone. I want to wait and hear what they have to tell me. If I'm 15 or 20 people back, I'm taking some action when I'm in the line. And one of the things I'm doing, again, if I am a member of the frequent flyer program, in the app, they will have a contact number. So what I'm doing is I'm getting in that contact number. I make sure that I have, because they're always going to ask you your name, they're going to ask you your confirmation number. So I make sure I have that information handy. If you're not a person that can look at that on your phone and talk on the phone, maybe it's a good idea just to carry a pen and a small notepad or something so you can jot that down, so when you're talking on the phone you can be looking at it. Typically I'll just put it on speaker. I'll say, hold on a minute, I'll look at my phone and I'll come back and I'll give them the information, but whatever works for you. That way oftentimes I can get the situation remedied before I get up to the counter. So that is a very good possibility. Sometimes, and this is just me, if I'm 3 people away and they find my solution, I wait in line anyways, because I prefer to be face to face, and I like to get that confirmation. And I like to ask the person at the gate, hey, I think I just talked to someone, could you confirm I was rebooked? Takes them about 20 seconds. I will often ask them, could you print out a boarding pass for me? Even though I get one on my phone, I just have a little more security with that paper boarding pass. Now, many of you may go through an agency. I know very few people go through travel agencies anymore. Most of us book direct. The airlines want it that way. It's simpler. If you're traveling for business, there's a really good chance that your company or organization books you through a travel agent. If you are traveling for a very special vacation, like a cruise, and there's a lot of things that have to connect together, like your airline and the departure time of the cruise and all that, I might recommend 2 things. Number 1, that you go through an agency. Agencies typically don't charge you anymore. They take their commission from that booking fee with the airline and or the ship. Double check to make sure. And you have someone to go to. You have another go-to person. If you don't have an airline representative to call your travel agent, because they can be there on the computer checking that stuff for you once again when you're waiting in line. The next thing I would recommend, if you have, not for everything, but if you have those very, very special vacations, you might want to think about travel insurance. Travel insurance will cover all these things like cancellations if you have to get on a new airline, if you're going to be a day late, sometimes even if you have to cancel the entire vacation. Look into it. It doesn't happen frequently. Most people, their vacations go relatively flawlessly. But for those times when it does, if you're a worrier, you might want to think about travel insurance, because it will help you in these situations. Okay, let's say you do all of these things. You get a new flight. Let me tell you what happened to me this week. I had a flight that was canceled. And by the way, one more hint here. Book early in the morning. The reason being, if a flight gets canceled, if a flight gets delayed, there are more options for you throughout the day. If I book later in the afternoon, because I like to sleep in, it takes me a while to get to the airport, whatever it is, fewer options might be available later in the afternoon to take follow-up flights. So I like to get on that 6 a.m. flight, the 6:30 flight. That way, if it does cancel, there might be an 8 a.m. flight, there might be a 10:30 flight, a 1 p.m. flight. There's a lot more options for me to get to my destination. Now, what happened to me this week, I suspect it was weather related, but I'm not certain. The flight was canceled. I did have an agent that booked this. I called the agency. They said, we can't get you on anything else. In this case, it was American Airlines. And I said, well, what other flights can we get? And by the way, you could be doing this on your own. You could be on the app checking the other airlines. You can do things like flight stats. Is it flight track? I got to check to make sure I know. I use them all the time. Flight stats. And you can put in the departing airline airport, the airport you're arriving at, and it will give you all the options for that day. All the airlines that are going from one airport to the next. The problem comes in with connections, because you can go all over the place with connections. Oftentimes, something like flight stats may only tell you the direct flights. They don't tell you the different ways that the planes are going to get to those cities. So it's not perfect, but it may give you a starting point. Anyway, let me tell you what happened this week. The flight was canceled. I couldn't get on any other flights. So the next thing I did was booked it on another airline. I was an American. I booked it on Delta. So it seems like, oh, cool. I got another flight. I'm good to go. Well, you got to cancel your flight first of all. You don't want to be paying for 2 flights. Make sure that gets canceled. Now, here's another thing you have to think about. If you buy some of those flights that do not allow cancellations, you are on the hook. So those do kind of pen you in. Now, more often than not, you won't have to worry about that. But if it does get canceled, now you are reliant upon the airport to rebook you at their schedule, not yours. They're not going to take your money and not give you a flight. That's not going to happen. They will still get you to your destination, but it might be the next morning, for example. So that's why you might want to think about, do I want to get locked in to the really economy flights that do not allow cancellation? You got to think about that. So my next concern is I got the flight canceled, I got the next one. How do I get my baggage from one airline to the next? So I had this all done, and now I got to get back in line, and once again I'm that 15th person in line. So what did I do? I got on the phone once again with American. I got redirected to the baggage department, whatever that is. I explained my situation. I told them this is the flight I was supposed to be on. It was canceled. Here's the flight I'm going to with Delta. And they were very nice. They did what they could to make arrangements to get that bag transferred. There's never a guarantee. But if they have the bags in their hands, they will eventually get it to your destination city. But it may be the next morning because they're going to be getting it on other flights. I prefer to have my bags on my plane with me. So there is a process that airlines do whenever possible. They try to cooperate. The airlines are going to do what they can to help you out. And since my flight was canceled, the bags were not loaded on a plane yet. I was still waiting in line. I thought I'm only 2 or 3. By the time I got done with this call, I was only 2 or 3 people. I waited anyway. And I walked up to the line. I said, hey, I canceled. And she said, oh yeah, I see that. And I said, I want to get my bags over to Delta. And she got on the phone and had it done in about 30 seconds. So I had 2 people working. I had 1 person from the corporate end and 1 locally at the airport. If possible, I like to do that because that way I know it's being done. By the way, they're also going to ask you questions like, describe your bag. Is there anything identifiable about it to help our baggage people find it more easily? I put stickers on my bags, not because I want to brag that I was in Nova Scotia or Timbuktu. The reason that I want to do it is to make it identifiable. I have these round stickers. You know what? It's really funny. One of them is from Roanoke, Virginia. The other is from a local restaurant. One is blue and one is red, and they're stuck right on top of each other. They're about 4 inches round. And I stick those on my bag. And that way I told them there's a round blue sticker and there's a round red sticker. One has a picture of a fish on it. And then I bought some novelty tags. As you can probably tell, I'm a Disney fan. And I bought some novelty tags, luggage tags, at the Disney park from the Tower of Terror. It's a big yellow tag that says room 1313, and you can put your contact information. And I also told them that. I said I have big yellow tags. I described that, and then the stickers. It makes it so appreciated by the luggage handlers and so much more likely they'll be able to find your bag because they're keying in now on the 22-inch and the 27-inch black hard shell with stickers and yellow tags. And right away, boop, 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 it's narrowing all that down. They did get my bags, and they did transfer it. Now, the other interesting thing to keep in mind, hang on to your original baggage claim because that's the number that's still going to be tracking it. They're going to be transferring, but I have no way of getting the bag number to from the Delta because I'm not there. I'm not at the counter. My bags are out of my sight. So hang on to your original baggage ticket. Even though American is no longer responsible for that bag, Delta is, that tracking number can be very, very helpful. And finally, as far as baggage, once again, have the app. The cool thing about having that app is it will tell you bag number 1 has just been loaded onto the plane. Bag number 2 has been loaded. Bag number 1 is arriving at the carousel. It will keep track of your bags. And if you have that bag number, you can also scan your tag that you get at the front desk when you check in, and it will locate your bags as well. It doesn't do it 100%. They're pretty good. So, should you have a flight that's canceled, those are some of the suggested routes I think you should take. Don't forget about those bags. I have heard about people that rested easy. They thought, oh, good, I got my flight taken care of, and they forgot all about transferring bags. And now they didn't have clothes to wear for a day or two. So that's it. That was my experience. Those are some suggestions I have for you. If you have other suggestions that can help people out, leave them down in the comments. As always, I encourage you to like and share the videos. Leave your comments and questions down below. Please subscribe to the channel by clicking my face in the corner. Ring that bell icon so you know when I post new videos. Thanks for watching, everyone, and safe travels.